Thanks, Brian, for being with us today.
You're very welcome.
For people that are not too familiar with K2Fly, can you talk us through your product offering, your client, your target markets, what sort of clients you have, and what the value is of your products for them?
Yeah, okay. So K2Fly earns its revenue from three different sources. We have our own intellectual property, which we sell on to clients. Mainly that's a package called InfoScope. InfoScope is a comprehensive land management solution, typically targeted at mining, oil and gas, utilities and rail. We also resell other people's IP. So examples would be Kony. Kony is a mobile application development platform from the States. We resell that. We resell something from Capita in the UK, which is called Field Reach. That's a mobile application solution. And other packages such as that. So that's reselling other people's IP.
Right.
And the third item, which currently is our biggest item, is in the sort of consultancy and advisory space, where we tend to sell in subject matter experts with great background. Most of our work, be it selling our own IP, other people's IP, or that consultancy services, tends to be in the asset intensive arena. We're typically looking at people who've either got great big assets or complicated assets, and they're going to be networked, they're going to be utilities, rail, telecoms, mining, oil and gas. That tends to be our main sectors.
And then consultancy right now is the largest contributor to revenues.
It is.
How do you see that developing over time?
Yeah, well, consultancy is very useful. Obviously, it can still be decent margin work. If you're playing at the top end of town, if you're playing to tier one clients, you get good daily rates, which is good. However, the challenge with consultancy is you have to keep reselling it, obviously. So by comparison to something like InfoScope, which is sold as software as a service, it is kind of harder work, I guess you could say. So, however, at the moment, a great deal of revenue comes through the consultancy, so we're very happy with that. But over time, that will change. At the moment, we're probably doing something like 80% of our revenues comes from consultancy. And over the next 2, 3, 4 years, I'd probably like to see that move to a 50-50 split between consultancy and software. However, having said that, it's a really good way of being involved with clients. It's a very good way of staying contemporary, knowing what's going on in the sectors. And we like to play this role as being the trusted advisor or the critical friend. So you get to play at the so-called C level in organizations. You're dealing with influential people, decision makers. So I'll never be turning away consultancy work. It will just change as a proportion of our overall revenues.
Right. And the third-party software that you sell, you mentioned that. What's the rationale behind that? And is there an opportunity for cross-sell between the different revenue?
There is. My background in the sector has been around for some 30 years, and I've always tried to play the game of being a niche provider, of being specialist. We don't want to be the same as everybody else. We can't compete with the very big boys who might do everything. So we try to be niche providers. And there are some third-party packages which are truly world-class. We're only going for the top-of-the-range stuff. And they allow you to get in there, deliver something that's really meaningful, really useful, in a sometimes a small way, but it's a really useful thing. And of course, once you have a client, you then have the opportunity to cross-sell other services, other solutions, and that clearly you have a reduced cost of sale then. So the margins are higher, and you get to be this view of being, we trust those guys. IT, sadly, has a bad reputation in the sort of big end of town. There have been a lot of failed IT projects. So if you can present yourself as being those people who actually deliver, actually really do stuff, that's a very nice brand to have.
Yeah. And so if I understand correctly, InfoScope essentially will be at some point in time the biggest contributor.
That's the plan. Definitely.
And I guess the interesting part about that is the recurring nature of revenues. Can you talk a little bit about InfoScope, the product, and what it does for your clients, and also if you can give a few examples of who your clients are?
Yeah, well, let's perhaps one of the highest profile companies we deal with is FMG. FMG are a large mining entity based out of WA, of course. They use InfoScope as their land management solution, so they manage their tenements, they manage their environmental issues, they manage native title issues, there's land access issues associated with the running of land. Having land as a major asset is a tricky process. Within FMG, once InfoScope had been deployed and was fully live, they were able to switch off several other solutions which they used to have, which all did bits and pieces of things, and they now have a very effective system in there where they're exploiting the sort of the comprehensive nature of land management. It's linked to SAP as well. FMG are a big SAP user, and the SAP story for K2Fly through its InfoScope solution is a very good one. We're in a position, we became partners of SAP towards the end of 2017. I'd previously dealt with them for some 20 years in a previous life, but K2Fly became a partner towards the end of 2017. We invested quite heavily on porting our InfoScope solution into the so-called SAP cloud platform. There's a thing called S4 HANA, and basically SAP are mandating to its 400,000 clients around the world that they're going to have to move from the so-called on-premise version of SAP up into the cloud, up into this thing called HANA. We were the first Australian software company to port our software onto SAP's HANA via a thing called the COIL, the Co-Innovation Lab in Germany. We got that solution up and running by April 2018, and then a few weeks later we were on the SAP App Center, which is the system by which their sales guys can sell our software directly to their customers. So overall, I guess the process took getting on towards 6 months, but it's been fantastic. It's a really good step for us. And SAP are a big player. They've got some 90-odd thousand staff who work in 130 countries. They've got more than 70 sales guys who focus in the resources sector. SAP itself has got nearly 800 mining clients around the world. It's a sweet spot for them, and by collaborating with SAP, we're quietly confident that we'll do very well going forwards.
Right. And it's early days, of course. The porting was completed, I think, just 3-4 months ago.
Yeah, it was finished in April, probably then really tested hard in May. We went on to the App Center in June. Since that time, myself and one of my colleagues have been doing various presentations to North America, South America, Russia, South Africa, working with SAP, working very hard at working with their clients and trying to get us positioned to make sure that we have a good shot at making a software sailing there. In September, we were doing presentations to their so-called industry council, the mining council, which is all of their customers. And then again,
and they're some of the largest
customers
in the world.
17 of the world's largest 20 largest mining companies use SAP. So they're big players. They're all of the big names here in Australia, and overseas people like Vale in Brazil are a very big player. So no, they're good companies, and SAP have a great footprint in there. We're just trying to make sure that we work and collaborate with their sales executives to make sure we get some good sales going.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So it's I wouldn't say transformational for K2Fly, but it's definitely hugely significant.
Probably transformational is correct, Mark. I think honestly it is. It's a world of difference to have a group of other people, sales guys, working for you, selling your solution. It's probably is transformational.
All right. And so going forward, what do investors have to look forward to? So, for instance, expansion into other regions, other countries. Maybe in terms of products, what do you think is coming up in the next 12 to 18 months?
I mean, nobody knows the answers. Obviously, we haven't got a crystal ball, but I see some interesting stuff happening. If you look at our revenues for last year, probably 95% of those revenues came from WA. WA is fantastic. Obviously, I live there, but clearly that's not the be all and end all of the world. There's the rest of Australia to target, and then working with SAP, the moves into Asia, Europe, Africa and the Americas could be a fantastic opportunity. In addition, we're always looking to see if there are any M&A opportunities going forwards. We've developed some skills in some SAP specific technologies such as this HANA. We could develop more products, or we could port other people's products into this HANA ecosystem, into the SAP world. And I'd like to think that in the future we'll be able to do some of that work, because once you're seen as that trusted advisor, once you're seen as the people who can deliver, and you've got some smart technology that really is a game changer, then I think the world is your oyster. If you look at the mining sector, just narrowly for the moment, the whole area of environmental, social and governance factors is getting bigger and bigger. The so-called
Right.
social license to operate, it's really important. The mining industry, I guess you could argue over the last 10 years, maybe sometimes its image hasn't been as good as it could be. There's been a bit of squabbling. There's been certainly some environmental challenges, and there have been some share price issues from time to time. So mining has got a little bit of work to do in terms of its brand, perhaps. And that means there are a lot of people out there looking to do things smarter, looking to do things differently.
Right.
And I think, given our subject matter expertise and our technology that's available in that space, yeah, I'd be quietly confident.
Right. Certainly sounds like you've got the right product at the right time. And
yeah, I think so. Time will tell, obviously, but we have generated a lot of interest. We're in a lot of sales situations, and yeah, if we come up trumps in some of those, it's a good spot to be in.
good.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff, Brian. Thanks for being with us. And yeah, we'll keep a close eye on the company. And because with SAP, there's probably a lot in the pipeline in the next 12 months for investors to look forward to. So all the best with that.
Good. I hope so. Thanks, Mark. Thanks very much.